From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the BodyShop Business Podcast.
Hey there, it's Jason Stahl with another episode of BodyShop Business, the podcast, and I have a very special guest today, Matt Ebert, who is the CEO and founder of Crash Champions, which everybody knows, of course, and also our 2022 BodyShop Business Executive of the Year. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Jason. Great to talk to you today.
Sure, and I want to start with a question I've been dying to ask you. We know your roots, right? You started your career in collision working at a body shop at the tender age of 16. By 1997, you became the general manager of New Lenox Auto Body in Mokina, Illinois. And by 99, you owned the shop outright and transitioned to a new brand. You then proceeded to grow that shop from a single Chicago storefront to a present-day coast-to-coast network of more than 630 repair centers in 37 states. Is it surreal to you that you started at the very bottom? You were literally a worker in a body shop, a technician, and to where you are now, a high-flying CEO of a major MSO. Is this surreal to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great ride, so to speak, right? But I guess you don't really think about it in the day-to-day because I wasn't as a 16-year-old thinking, one day I'll run a great big company. I was just trying to fix my car and just trying to then make a living. And then sometimes business goes, you're just trying to survive at certain times. So, the big growth really didn't start until 2014 is when I started to grow, and ultimately 2019 was when the pace of growth really started to happen. So it came in bite-sized pieces for a long time, building a foundation to where I kind of call it getting me ready to do something like this. So as you're going through it, it's not such a monumental thing because it doesn't happen all at once. It's been a lot of years. It seems really fast now, but I would say the foundation has been being prepped for a long time.
Do you feel having that experience, that grounding from the past, starting at the bottom, being on the production floor, do you feel that it helps you today to do the job you're doing now better and for technicians in your organization to relate to you?
Yeah, I hope so. It's one of the things that we, message is different about Crash is that we're founder led. And what we mean by that is simply just expressing that I know what it's like to sit in our employees' seat every day. So from initiatives and things from me, one of the things that we're trying to do is let them know that we know what it's like to be them every day. We want to make it easy to work for us, not hard. I'm not going to come with some crazy idea that doesn't make any sense for the industry, having grown up in it. And so I think that is something unique and that we want people to know. We want to be relatable, and we want to know that their opinions and what their day-to-day experience like with us really matters to us and to me.
So Matt, I hear a lot about Crash Champions culture and your operations and how you do things. And I hear about these leadership summits, apprentice programs, events you have, your recycle rides giveaways, events you have that galvanize the team and cultivate leaders in your organization and make you basically feel good about who you're working for. Tell me a little bit about these programs and where they came from.
Yeah, it's a major initiative for us. I believe that our people are our differentiator, and even stronger, I believe that in the future, we want to have the most talented team, from the technicians to the leadership, because to me, that's the differentiator in the industry for us. Robots aren't fixing cars anytime soon, and it's always a relationship and a people component to this business that's very, very important. And so investing in our people is our number one focus for what really makes us a great company. And so each of these things that you're talking about are just training initiatives that get the team united and get them on board. And we put a lot of effort and concentration in it because we think it makes a huge difference. As a team, we all need to understand who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. And then if the whole team is of the same mindset, it gains a lot of momentum. So that's what we're out to do. It goes a little bit beyond just teaching the skill level. It addresses a little bit of our how we think about things, and for performance to come, there's a little bit of skill and there's also the will that both apply to it. And so we're addressing both in our training, and it's working great for us. The culture is strong. We try to do things a little bit different, and our people, we want them to feel important, and we want them to see the benefits from us investing in them.
Let's talk about the consolidation activity in the auto body industry. It's been going crazy for the last several years. It's been like the Wild West. I've heard it equated to a soap opera with all the drama going on, the near deals, the close deals, the deals that actually happen. It's never been a better time for an independent auto body shop to get out of the business if they want to. Maybe they want to sell the shop and retire, or maybe they want to join another organization, sell and become an executive with that organization, or maybe they want to get out of collision and start a calibration center or another business. But it's never been a better time. And depending on who you talk to right now, we got 12 more months of this crazy activity. We got 24 months. No, this is going to go on for another 36 months. What is your prediction on time frame as to this immense amount of activity of consolidation? Where's the runway here? How far does it go?
Yeah, so I don't have a crystal ball any more than anyone else does, but I was a small independent not that long ago, right? And so part of the reason why I went down this path is just understanding industries, and when they consolidate, how does it go? What happens? Some of my research taught me that when an industry starts to consolidate, it usually consolidates up to about 65% of the industry before it's done. And so if you look at today, we're still not even halfway to that number from a sales perspective, and from a location perspective, we're very far away. So I don't think that it's got just a few more months to go or anything like that. I think there's a lot of growth in the industry to still happen, and consolidation from what other industries have taught me. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to happen here or it will in the collision space, but from other industries and just seeing how it's went in the past, I would say that indicates we still got a long way to go.
I hear from independent mom and pop single store shops that say, let them come in my town. Because every time one of these national brands comes in, I get to do a lot of rework because they're hacking up cars so bad, and it's because they're under immense production stress because of insurance relations and whatnot. Whatever the case may be, they're not doing good repairs. My reputation goes up, and I get to do those cars again. So they're not really concerned. But that can't be a blanket statement for all of the national consolidators, can it?
Yeah, no, of course, that statement hurts my heart, so to speak, because we pride ourselves in the work that we do, just like a single shop owner would pride themselves in the work that they do. And I would say no business can be successful without happy customers. We can't fix cars poorly and expect to succeed. And so when we talk about initiatives and things that we're working on and excited about, I view like a quality repair as basic as eating and breathing and necessary for life. So we don't necessarily broadcast quality repairs because we feel that it's a given and it's expected of us in the industry. It's one of the things that keeps me up at night especially with, the advancement in the technology and the vehicles, and my concern over making sure that our team is ready and capable to do quality repairs. So I assure you, and anybody else, that I am just as concerned about it as any independent shop owner. I know for a fact that we have a lot of happy customers. That's the only way that we'd be successful. And so whether or not one repair went badly or not, I'm not putting out a challenge for somebody to go find one. I'm sure something bad has happened somewhere. All I can do is make sure that we're training and equipping our team to do great repairs. If something has gone wrong, we need to be responsive. We need to take care of it. And those are usually opportunities to win a customer over for life, because if someone's unhappy about something, them being able to get our attention and get it fixed is something that we would say. But we're talking about a less than 1% chance of a repair not being of the ultimate quality. And I think for somebody to say that they're making their shop super busy from reworks from a national consolidator, I would wonder how true that is, because I don't know how any business can be successful repairing vehicles that need to be re-repaired by someone else. It can't be a chronic problem in the industry, or quite frankly, I wouldn't see my company or others being able to be successful. Just wouldn't make logical sense.
Yeah, no, speaking of the vehicle sophistication, how on earth, as an organization, are you staying on top of this? I mean, we're fixing computers today, and we have electric vehicles. The sophistication is crazy, and we're not all computer experts. How are you, is it, as an organization as large as yours, is it, because you're so large, is it easier to stay on top of, or is it harder to stay on top of this?
Interesting. So I would probably answer it this way. One of the reasons why, again, I was a small independent not that long ago. One of the reasons in deciding to grow larger and do what we've done is my concern for being able to keep up as just a single shop, or even just a handful of shops, because of the expense of it. To do all the training that needs to be done, to equip the shops with all the equipment that they need to have, it seemed very hard for me to do it as a single shop or just a small MSO. I think it's something like we're working hard at ramping up training, ramping up equipping all the shops. The advantage that we have at scale is, say, for example, I'll just use numbers that are made up, but to illustrate it, if EV is 10% of the market and we've got 25 shops in the market, if we can equip 15% of those to be able to handle EV and handle it well, we're serving the market. Whereas if I was a single shop, I would have to do all of that training, all that equipment in my one shop. There would be no leveraging of the talent that we have or the equipment that we have across the market. So I think that's how I would describe I saw it and why I wanted to grow bigger. And the advantage that we have as an MSO is that we are able to service the market by using a certain percentage of locations to service the sophistication in the market, rather than having to do it at every single shop. Now, our goals are, go out 10 years. We would want every single shop to be able to do it. But in the meantime, what we are able to do is make sure that we can handle the needs of the market. And I think that that's the advantage that growing bigger gave us. That, again, that's one of the reasons and decisions that I thought through as I thought about growing into a bigger company.
Presented from the Ishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Matt, what makes a collision repair facility an attractive acquisition for Crash Champions?
Sure. So there's shops across the country that are great businesses. They're great shops. They have a very talented team, and they have great business relationships, probably with carriers and vendors and dealers. So they're doing really, really well, and it's a great business. So that's obviously attracted to us. And then there's some businesses that we're looking at with a view to what could we turn them into. And so we've bought in both as we've grown, where someone might say, well, I know that shop, I wonder why they bought it. That would have been one that we did where we're looking kind of to what can we turn it into in the future. And then there's some that they're great businesses today. We look at them from a perspective of how well do they align with us today, and if they align with us very strongly, then it gets easier in the kind of what we're willing to pay and the decision making process. If it's misaligned from how we operate, or it needs a lot of investment in the facility and the people, then it's something that we might want to do, but we'd be looking to pay a little bit less for it because it's more work for us to integrate it and make it part of the Crash team. So I hope that kind of describes, like, there is a variety. You do them all for different reasons, but there are some great collision businesses across the country, and obviously those are the most attractive.
I've heard from some technicians, good and bad about working for a major consolidator. I've had some say, oh my gosh, it's like a sweatshop in there. It's all about production and numbers. I can't even take a smoke break. I'd rather just stay at my small little shop. I can take breaks at least. They don't even give me breaks. What is the culture like at Crash Champions where to sort of defy the stereotype that, these massive consolidators, it's all about work, 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 and there's, you can't be yourself and you can't just, take a breather once in a while?
Yeah, so for us, we very much believe that the leadership is so important. We can take a beautiful shop and put a bad manager in there, and it's not a great experience for the techs and those that work in the shop. And we can take a box that we're not necessarily proud of putting our name on, that we want to remodel and we want to equip better and we want to make nicer, and put a great manager in there, and the experience of the employees there is totally different, and they love it. So our concentration from a make the experience good for our employees starts with the leadership. And so we invest a lot in the talent at the shop level, from the technicians up, but also from the executive team down to the general managers. A major focus for us is training and building the quality of our leadership team. We think it's a differentiator for us, because for the employees to have a good experience, the management team and the office efficiency has a lot to do with it. So you spoke about pushing the technicians hard, and in my experience, where the industry is very much a flat rate pay by, there's some hourly pay that's successful, but across the country, for the most part, it's a flat rate pay environment for the technicians, and they want to earn, they want to do well. It's not the push that bothers them, it's inefficiencies in the front office that hang up the techs. And so pushing them to get something done when they just got a work order and just got the part they need, and they've watched the car sit in the parking lot for weeks, like, that's frustrating. So our concentration is very much on efficiencies in the front of the shop, the quality of the leadership team, because if you give a technician what they need, meaning all the parts that they need, a complete work order, and the tools to fix the car, and get out of their way, that to me is the key to success, and what leads to their ultimate enjoyment and happiness working for us. I think if a technician feels pushed, it's probably a little bit of frustration that he's not getting what he needs in order to do his job well too. So it's got to be, that's really how we go about addressing the concern that you mentioned.
So speaking of technicians, obviously the technician shortage in the collision industry is the strongest headwind facing the industry. And we hear about the rampant poaching that goes on in our industry, stealing employees from other shops. How are you finding enough talent to fill all those crash champions? And are you looking outside the industry to find people? Because I hear more and more that shops are looking at unconventional places to find the staff they need.
Yeah, we are definitely ramping up apprentice programs, and in the future, it's a grow our own from a talent perspective. There's just not enough in the industry, and we're not filling every vacancy that we have. And so, depending on which stats you see, there's a clear 30,000 somewhere in that range technician shortage today, and in the next 5 years to 6 years, depending on, because of the aging of a lot of the technicians and how long will they continue to go. There's estimates of over 100,000 technician needs in the next several years. So we have to work hard today to help fill that need tomorrow. And for us, that's through refining and developing apprentice programs that work. And so apprentice programs that advance the technician along, give them the skills that they need, and get them the ability to stand on their own. And that involves a lot of things, including the right mentor. You want a mentor that's not only good at fixing cars, but also as best as you can, good at teaching other people. And you need that right mix of both. I would say the exciting thing about the industry and the advancement in technology on the vehicles has really led to, I feel, a whole new opportunity to attract people to the industry that maybe wasn't there before. And I think it's a great time for us to appeal to a whole new generation of blue collar workers. College isn't for everyone. For those that want to go that route, we have all kinds of opportunity for them too. But from a blue collar perspective, I think that it's our mission to let people know what a great industry this is, how much better it's getting, how they can make a great living and care for their families by working in it. And I like where we are today compared to, say, 10 years ago, as far as being an attractive industry to attract a next generation of talent too. And so we're trying to do both advertise the appeal of the industry and set up training programs that will help people be successful, because it's very much needed for the whole industry for that to be accomplished. We won't be able to get there by recruiting alone. That's for sure.
Matt, talk to me about private equity. We know that is what is fueling the raging consolidation in the collision business. Private equity backing, private equity interest. The phrase I heard was the dot-coms burn money, the collision shops earn money. They love the consistent cash flow in this industry. And there are more and more, I mean, I've heard stories that it's just unbelievable who's interested in coming in this industry and making a buck. And I think people get nervous when they think about private equity, because the ultimate goal of a private equity firm is to make money at all costs. That's the goal, right? That's the end goal. And people get nervous. If they're joining an organization, are we going to be sold someday? Am I going to lose my job? Is it going to change what I'm doing? Is it just a cash grab? Calm my fears about, or others' fears about, private equity, being the stakeholder in an organization, and people feeling like it's all money driven, and the dominoes may fall, everything might fall apart someday.
Sure. So let's start with the easier part of that's a big question, but ultimately, for a company to survive, it needs to be profitable. And so it doesn't matter if I own the shop, just me by myself, or if I own it and have a big loan from the bank, or if I'm publicly held, or if private equity is a big chunk of our shareholder the goal in the end for me is to to do what's right for the company, to build a great company long term, and deliver value to its shareholders. And that's a part of my role and a part of my job. For Crash, my shareholder stake is very significant. I haven't pulled money out to go retire and go do something else. I've continued to stay heavily invested in the company, and a lot of the acquisitions that we've done, those shop owners have continued to be part of our shareholder base. So it's not all private equity alone. Obviously, when you look at our size, it's a significant portion of it, but the answer is we're out to build a great company, and that's going to reward its shareholders. It's not reward the shareholders at the cost of the company. And so I think that that's the important spin to note on it. And I think, from our perspective, private equity could be viewed as a tool for us to grow the company, and private equity can look at us as a tool to grow their portfolio, right? And so it has to be the right combination of both. We've got a great partner in Clear Lake. They understand what our vision is and what we want to do as a company. They share the vision with us. It's not any conflict within our company. I can't speak for others as far as what's right for the company versus the shareholders. That doesn't really exist here. So if others face that, I don't know. But for us, we're just out to do something great with this company, and the shareholders will get rewarded for that. That's how business is supposed to work.
And it's conceivable that you could be bought out by a bigger fish someday too, right?
Well, that's not the goal. I can tell you that, in a world where it's assumed that not everybody can get big, right? And there's probably only a couple or few that end up being one of the larger players in the industry. My intention is definitely for Crash to be one of them. And so when we're looking at the company and our growth and goals for the future, we intend to be here for a long time.
Everywhere I go now, driving around, as through a consumer's eyes, I'm seeing signs for Crash Champions. I'm seeing signs for Caliber Collision. I'm seeing signs for Classic Collision. What is your sense of consumers' familiarity with these brands now and the trust in these brands? Because they're everywhere now.
Yeah, look, you like to hope that you're getting to be well known. In the eyes of the consumer, we're probably honestly not. It's just like anything. Until you have a need, you're probably driving by a collision shop every day and not paying it any attention because it's not on your radar. You don't have a need for it. And so for us, insurance companies and certifications continue to be the referral source. And what we want to do is make sure that our reputation is good amongst consumers, our online reviews and things that consumers have to say about us, so that when we are suggested from whether it be a past customer or a certification or an insurance partner, we want that referral. And when people start to research us, to our reputation to be good. I would love for us to be a household name, but ultimately in a country with 350 million people and how small Crash was a few years ago, I think that would be probably not the real truth of it. And we don't spend a lot of money on advertising to the consumer because it's just too much of you can't really track a return on it. And so it's not really the angle that we're working for. So I want us to be well known. I want our locations to be something that we're proud of and our reputation to be something that we're proud of. But to think that we're a household name, I think that's probably not true.
So Matt, looking at 2024, what does it hold for Crash Champions? We were talking earlier today. I just got a press release about one of your acquisitions. A few days ago, I got another press release from you guys. It seems like every week I'm getting one or two or three press releases from you guys about a new acquisition somewhere in the country. And a scale of 1 to 10, how active are you going to be this year?
Great question. So we're pretty active right now, so that's why you're seeing a lot of announcements. I think looking ahead to next year, we'll be even more active. But I would like to do a lot this year. I always look at it with how well we're doing with our current footprint. So you saw us go a little bit slower last year because we had a lot to integrate, a lot to improve upon from a performance perspective. And so second half of this year, I would give us, like, we're at about a 5 right now, kind of a medium pace. We might get a little more aggressive, or we might kind of hold at current pace, depending on performance of what we're, the current shop footprint. I think that it's very important to make sure that we're doing really well in the shops that we have today. And as they do better and better, that really is kind of the gas pedal for how fast we go from an M&A and expansion perspective. So I would give us about a medium score right now, with a hope to get much more aggressive later in the year and in the next year.
Is it still the best time in the history of collision repair industry to get the best price for your shop? I think I heard that, shops are still getting very attractive offers, but they're not as big as they were before. Is it still a very lucrative time for a shop to get out?
Yeah. So look, there's plenty of buyers, which is why it's a great time, right, for somebody to sell today, if that was what they're interested in. Interest rates being higher, of course, make it harder to pay more. And all of us that borrow money to do things face that as a challenge. So interest rates are putting pressure on prices a little bit. There continues to be a lot of interest, though. And I would say this, like, it sometimes goes as simple as the time to think about selling is when somebody wants to buy. And whether you wait too long and then all of a sudden there's nobody interested in buying is a chance that you take. I think that there's plenty of interest right now. So I do think it's a great time. I don't think it's peak prices like it was a couple years back, but it's still really good. And whether or not it continues to stay here or go down or up, I don't know. I would say, though, that the time to talk to somebody is when there is interest. That's for sure.
For years we heard the industry was over capacity. There was too many shops and too few repairs to be had. When the dust settles, how many shops will be left, and what percentage of those will be multi-location operations?
Sure. So the real answer is I don't know. There's an ideal number if you look at it from a math perspective that's smaller location wise than it is today. And the reason is because there's a lot of collision shops throughout the US that are doing very, very small sales volume. And so it could be just one or two individuals, right, making a living operating a shop and repairing a handful of cars a month, and that's a great business for them. And so those probably stay out there at a bigger number than anybody looking at a spreadsheet thinks is practical, because for us, like, we would need to do more volume through a shop than what somebody who's just supporting one or two people would need to do. So I think that the number in total probably shrinks to get to more the ideal would make sense, but you never know. I don't view the boxes as the capacity in the market. It's really the people. It's the technicians, it's the service advisors, it's the people that manage the collision repairs every day that is really the capacity in the market. Now, whether all of that talent is in too many boxes and they would be better utilized in a smaller number of boxes, of course, I would say that I think that that's true, because it's true in my company's experience. We do much better doing more volume through our locations. And so that would mean then, as an industry, if you were going to do the volume on average in the industry that we do in a location, the industry would need a lot less locations, but that's not for everybody. So the number if I were going to make a bet, I would bet it's a smaller number than today. Probably doesn't get to what a spreadsheet says is ideal. And there's going to be guys that continue to fix a few cars a month and do great. And then there's going to be companies that do much more revenue through each location. Will continue to get bigger, and that'll be the dynamic.
Well, Matt, I can't thank you enough for your time today. I mean, you are the epitome of the American success story. We often hear in this industry that a lot of people enter the industry with no clear path of promotion or advancement. But my goodness, you're an example of the extreme of that. You started entry level and you rose all the way to the top. So there is opportunity for anyone who's willing to put their nose to the grindstone and work hard. So I appreciate all the insights you gave me today about what's going on in consolidation and what's going on with the Crash Champions. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
I'm Jason Stahl. Thanks for watching. Thanks everybody for tuning in to Body Shop Business, the podcast. Check out bodyshopbusiness.com for more podcasts.